So the 2 dives went well. They absolutely loved Esmeralda, as I did. We went in, Dave was on the dock, Dick was on the dock, and Cal was on the dock, and they were all on the boat having a look around the boat and stuff. And a few more people were down talking to Dave about the out island trips. Dave was laughing his fucking ass off. Him and Dick were like fucking 2 big kids when they got together. Cal was looking at he was down in the hull. He was looking at in the engine compartment. He was down there checking the engines were okay and there was no oil leaks and no fuel leaks. And Cal and David and Dick had started to load the tanks on, which was really good because we had 22. We had a full trip. So they were putting all the tanks on, which kind of saved me doing on my own. Tim was on his way over from the mainland, so he'd be staying on the island at night. He'd stay on the boat with me, and he would be coming with me and Ollie. Ollie would come down in the evening time once he finished his diving. He worked for Hustler Brothers at the top end of the island, and before the river cut, and so he was up there with those guys, and he'd scuba dive for those, and he would work on the Manta 4 with me, and Tim would be coming with us to do the diving as well and get a bit more experience. And Tim didn't like Cal, and Cal didn't like Tim, but we all remained professional. Cal had snapped at Tim on the boat once, and Tim was going to fill him in, and I was looking forward to that because they were both big boys, both around the same size, 16, 17 stone, and from what I understood, Cal and Tim had fallen out a few years previous, and Tim had smashed his face in, so he didn't get it for nothing. So hopefully there was going to be no fireworks. David just fucking read the riot act to Tim and Cal. Keep your bullshit, your own personal bullshit private. You're fucking working on the boat, you know what I mean? This is not good for tour, blah, 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 blah. And they just, no worries at all. So Dick and David were going over the lists of things, checking that things had been ordered, that I checked everything off. They didn't have to do that, but, David did it anyway, and it was just his job because, the shit didn't want to hit the fan and come back on him. So I checked everything off, made all the orders for this stuff. Most of the things were going to be delivered that day. A couple of things would be delivered in the morning. Bellican beer, because we didn't have a place to refrigerate it till the boat was turned on. So Bellican beer and Red Stripe beer, which was the 2 beers down there, the vodka, the rum, and all the food that had to be. We had fridges and a little freezer on the boat, and that would be frozen once the boat was turned on. So the boat was the fridges were turned on the night before. So Cal was down checking everything was okay. So everything was spick and span as usual. The boat was tremendously clean. The blankets, the judo mats where people slept were all disinfected and clean, dried in the sun, stored away down in the tank compartment. They would come out once we settled into Half Moon Caye after diving in turn F. We would cut across into Half Moon Caye. Half Moon Island, Caye Island, and we would just go from there. So everything was checked over, the dive tanks were checked over, all the gear was checked on. The divers would come down that evening, the ones who were renting the gear, as part of their package, and I would fit them out and make sure that everybody got their sizes, which took an hour or two to make sure that everybody was comfortable. I would check all their dive certifications again. That was something I wanted to do, just to make sure. Even though Chris and the other ones had done it, I checked it as well, being a dive master. Not that I really didn't believe people, but I didn't believe people. But I just wanted to make sure that everything was as it said it was on the tin. Had a bit of a chinwag with Dick and Dave at the bottom of the dock privately. Just had a bit of a chinwaggle and a giggle and a laugh and stuff. And we both picked Dave up and we threw him in. He fucking spazzed out about that. So Dick gave me the nod, and we just jumped on Dave and we picked him up and hiked him 6 feet down into the water. And he fucking rats, cocks, fucking wankers, all this type of stuff. And he took it in good fun. And then we tried to get Dick, but Dick fucking cleared. He was able to run, and so he got away. And I looked at Dave and don't even think about it, because you're going to get a fight on your hands. So it was good fun. It was good to see Dave laugh and smile. Dave invited me and Dick up to the restaurant, and even though I was reluctant to go, I agreed, and they was like, come on, Call, you know, you're going to be away from here soon, and it's been a while since you were up, and I understand, you know, your feelings towards Sue and stuff, but come up for me and all this type of stuff. And I was like, yeah, okay then. And so yeah, that was going to be around 7 in the evening, and it was now around 3:30 in the afternoon. The divers had left. The divers were just absolutely blown away with Esmeralda and stuff. They were happy. They'd go down and tell Chris that everything was good, and, you know, Chris would be liking that. There'd be a little tick in the box for me, and a tick in the box for Dive Dreams. So yeah, everything was good. So Dave and Dick thinned out. I got on the boat, dried off, showered off, and I slept for a couple hours. I remember sleeping. I remember just being so tired. Diving was tiring, to be honest, and dealing with divers is tiring, because you've got to make, you're like a shepherd, like a sheepdog. So you have to make sure that you turn behind, you're looking behind you, and you're giving everybody the okay, and making them check the dive gauges and depth gauges and air gauges and all this type of stuff. And like dealing with school kids most of the time, because when you're too busy enjoying your dives, all of a sudden you run out of air and you're gasping for air, and then you're on your buddies, your dive buddies regulator, you know what I mean? So it can cause panic, and it's unprofessional not to check on your divers. So we always turned around and made sure that everybody was close together, which was what I liked to do. I liked them to dive in twos, so they were side by side and with at least 3 meters of space between each other, so they weren't getting kicked in the face with fins, and the masks were getting kicked off and the regulators were getting kicked out. So it was like being a sheepdog, and it was good fun. And nine people out of 10 people always complied, and always did what you asked them. But you always got the couple of arseholes who thought they knew better, because they were rescue divers or master scuba divers, which was below dive master, and everybody thought they were fucking dive experts and knew better than the person who was taking the dive. So sometimes there was always conflicts of interest, but they were always managed professionally. And there was a few times I just told people to fuck off. My bullshit meter was full. I didn't fucking want to deal with them. And Dave always put it down to me. He says, "Call it your discretion. If you fucking don't think they're good divers, get rid of them. Fuck him," he says, "get rid of him. I'm not fucking here to deal with this bullshit." And a few times I just says, "Where you go? Go down to Amigo del Mar, go down to fucking Tortuga, go down to wherever, where you go. Have you suddenly fucking developed a stammer, or where you go?" And I would get rid of them. But 99.9% of the time I was quite nice, but there was just that one fucking, odd time where people just got grated on your last nerve, and you fucking just wasn't going to deal with it. No matter how much money, fuck off, go somewhere else. And in scuba diving, the customer's not always right, because their life is in your hands when you take them diving. Big responsibility. So safety was always paramount for me and Dave. And that was the first thing that David ever taught me in life. Safety is paramount. Your safety is paramount, Call, because you're dealing with these people. Make sure that you're fit, that you're healthy. You don't have a head cold when you dive. Make sure that you're good to go. And if you're not good to go, you let me know, and I'll take the dive, or we'll get somebody to take the dive. And that was the trust bond that we had. But 9.9 out of 10 was always, people always had a great time. There was always the fucking one or two. And they were mostly Germans or French or Italians, or if we had better dives, in America. Well, fucking stay in America. The fuck are you doing in Belize? Stay in America if your dives are better. Fucking gives a shit. I've dove all over the world, and I've taken something from every place I've dove. I've always enjoyed it. Didn't matter if it was cold water, fresh water, fucking salt water. You know what I mean? Bath water, fucking shower water. I didn't care. I've always learned something and enjoyed. Always learned to enjoy the dives for what they were. Town in Honduras, when I was to go down there the next year after that, being in Miami, was one of the best places diving. Very much like Belize, and it wasn't better than Belize, although there was some better things, some better reefs. It was just enjoyable. I enjoyed everything. I never tried to compare anything to anywhere, because then you just don't enjoy things, and that was another thing that I learned as well. So. But everything was good to go for the dive in the morning. The rum and the alcohol started to come down. The food started to come down. All the laundry was done. The towels, because we provided towels for the divers. We provided them, 2 towels each. We provided toothpaste if they wanted it, soap, all that type of stuff. Because some people just didn't bring that. Some people just forgot with the excitement and stuff. So we had we'd always have spare stuff. We'd go to the little cash and carry supermarket on Middle Street, and they would buy this in bulk, and we always had toothbrushes, and we always had toothpaste and gargle, all that type of stuff for people, and soaps and deodorants and stuff like that. Because the last thing people wanted to do was stink on a boat with 22 people. And so that was one thing that they appreciated about us, was that there was no extra charges with anything that we gave them. It was always given, by David, like with a good heart. He always made sure that people, enjoyed the dives and that they would come back in the future. And we had loads of repeat divers on the Manta 4, and the Manta 4 being a big attraction from the movies ensured that. So everything was getting good to go for the trip. Cal had taken the Manta 4 down to fuel it. So he had taken it north on the island a bit more, where there was a bigger filling station, and Cal would fill that, and it would take a couple hours to fill, and he'd probably stop off for a couple of drinks somewhere and talk shit and stroke his own ego with everybody else. Usually Amanda would come down the dock, and she would go with him, and Rosie would come down, and she always asked me, could she come on board. She didn't fucking ask Cal, because Cal didn't live on the boat. Cal drove the boat. She knew I was living on it, and I told her one day, I says, what are you doing? I says, no, you know yourself, you asked permission before, but Cal's the captain. I said, it's my home. Do I fucking come to your house and walk in? And she, I says, you asked permission, which is the dumb thing to do. I said, you're supposed to ask permission to come on the dock, but you don't. So, you know what I mean? Because we were renting, the part of the dock for the dive centre and stuff, so that space. And so then she'd say, oh, is it okay, if me and Rosie, she never called my name, she never said Colin or Col, like she did in the beginning, and she'd say, oh, could we have permission to go on the boat? And I would say, yeah. And Rosie would be all excited. She was 4 or 5 maybe at the time. She was all excited to go on the boat, and they would climb up to the bridge, and they were Cal, and Cal would just take them off, like, and he'd give me the side eye, and I just used to fucking stand and stare at him. I prayed that I would just get a chance to smack him in the fucking chin, but that would have pissed Dave off. Anyway, and that was the type of crap I was trying to get away from, to be honest. So, but there was always drama of some kind, and I just felt my fuse just getting shorter and shorter the longer I stayed there. And so he took the boat off to gas up. I went over to Bruce and Charlene's. I remember going over that day to Bruce and Charlene's. Bruce was there. Bruce was a lovely Aussie guy, absolutely genuine guy, always fucking slagging and slating. He had a sense of humour. He had a tongue would clip a hedge. He was such a nice guy, and I'd sit down. He would do me scrambled eggs and pancakes. So he had a little kitchen, so he'd do scrambled eggs and pancakes, and a glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. And Bruce was an instructor. He was a NAUI, which was Australian National Association of Underwater Instructors. So he was a diver, and he dove for Larry Parker at Victoria House, and he was later to come and dive with Dave as an instructor. Dave's business grew rapidly, and became a diving instructor for Dave. He needed a NAUI instructor, and he came to dive for David, and an absolutely lovely guy. I spent a couple hours with Bruce chatting away and stuff, and Bruce was the type of guy, like Dave and like Dick, whatever you said to Bruce stayed with Bruce. And Bruce was very careful what he asked you, because he wasn't one to spread gossip, but he wasn't one to listen to bullshit. So I didn't say nothing unless he asked me a roundabout question, and then I gave him a roundabout answer. You know what I mean? He wasn't particularly fond of Cal, and I got to find that out with him, and because he says, how was it working with Cal? And I just kissed my teeth. And he just kind of laughed, and he goes, yeah, he goes, I got that impression, he goes, when I used to work with him as well. He says, but I never said anything. He says, I'm a guest here, he called. He says, even though I'm a Belizean citizen now, he says, I'm still a guest. He says, and he says, sometimes you've got to be careful what you say. And I says, Bruce, I says, I don't give a fuck, mate. You know what I mean? I said, if I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it. And I said, if it hurts the fucking feelings, that's their problem. I says, people can't fucking really handle the truth. They expect you to deal with their bullshit and agree with their opinions, but if you have a different opinion, they fucking don't like it. You know what I mean? And I says, and then you're a commie, and I says, I'm not fucking dealing with it at all. And he just laughed and giggled and shook his head, and that was Bruce.